Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about the Nissan 350Z. Who owns a 350Z besides me? Comment below. Or who has owned one in the past? I tell you, it's a great car. It has been riced out, driven to death. They've been wrecked, drifted, you name it. And there aren't many good ones left. They're starting to disappear. We're starting to see less and less of them. But anyway, these were the colors that you could get with the 350Z when it launched in 2003. You had Redline, your basic standard red, kind of like a Ferrari red. You had Brickyard, which was a rare color. You don't see many of these. I want to say it is the rarest color, or one of the rarest colors available on the 350Z. Le Mans Sunset, which if you remember the run when they launched the car, this was the launch color. Great color for the car. Excellent color. Daytona Blue, Super Black, Chrome Silver, Pikes Peak White, Silverstone, and Ultra Yellow. So not a lot of choices. And for interior, you had carbon cloth, charcoal leather, or burnt orange was available on Le Mans Sunset and the Super Black, and also a couple other colors at the bottom here, Silverstone and Ultra Yellow. But not a lot of choices. And it was a different era. This was a different era. This is supposed to be a true sports car, two-seater, manual transmission, with available automatic, which most people didn't go for because this is before automatics really improved. It's an old-school slush box, basically. But what colors do you guys like here? I mean, I'm a big fan of the Daytona Blue and the Brickyard. The Brickyard for its rarity, but you gotta love the launch color. I mean, when this came out and we first saw this was fantastic. It's a beautiful color. It really sets the car off. It was different. Nobody was offering a color like this at the time. Remember, 20 years ago, you didn't have all the crazy colors that we have today. This is a track edition. It's been slightly modified. It's lowered a little bit, has a shorty antenna, and the grille is a bit different. It's a later model grille. If you go back and notice, the grille runs horizontal like on a later model car. But we'll look at this photo. This is beautiful. I just want to appreciate this for a second. You've got your sunset, Le Mans sunset paint color, and then the sun is setting, a beautiful sunset in the background. You gotta love that. How cool is that? And the raised wheels really set these off. That's how you can identify a track edition, if you didn't know, is by the raised wheels. From this angle, you can see this car is definitely lowered at least 30, 40 millimeters or so. You can see it has the later model grille that I was talking about, even though this is a 2003 track edition. I always liked the way the Brembo brakes, another thing that the track edition had was the Brembo brakes with the early cars. And you can see the gold calipers, which I thought went really well with this paint color. This paint color just really is the one to get if you can find a good one, in my opinion. Another cool angle of the car, you can almost see in the back the strut bar, the strut brace that is visible and takes up a lot of the trunk room, which a lot of people complain about. People either love or hate that. It was different. It was the only car with anything like that when this came out in 2003. I really think this car has aged well, and it's going to continue to age well. And here we have our Brickyard 350Z. This, I believe, is either a base or an enthusiast model because it has the smaller 17-inch wheels. 17-inch wheels only came on the low Model Z. Everything else had 18s, the Touring, the Track, and I believe the Enthusiast. Comment below. I don't know if you could get the 17s on the Enthusiast or not. But anyway, back to this color. This is a beautiful color on this car. I think it's fantastic. This picture doesn't really do it justice. Inside, it's kind of like a purple red. Maybe a little bit of brown. But I'm going to show you another color that came later and see if you can tell the difference. There's another color that came later that's almost identical to this. But you can see the grille, you've got 3 of those black slots that run, black pieces I should say, that run horizontally versus 2 bigger, bulkier ones on the later models. That's the grille that it came with, as he came with in '03. Also, the headlights were different. The orange that runs on the outside of the headlight and the chrome housing inside. Some other key differences. And so these are the 18-inch wheels as well. So these came on the Touring, I believe, and the Enthusiast. It's a good-looking wheel, too. Looks similar to the Ray's Track Edition wheels. And here we go again. This is the same car with the 17s. I got to say, Brickyard is a fantastic color for this car. I think I've only seen one or two of them in Brickyard. And coming up, we're going to show you Interlagos Fire, which is very similar to this, and this came on, I believe, on 2005 and 6 models. Again, comment below if you know. Here we go. So see, it has a bit more brown, maybe copper in it. I don't think it's quite as brilliant as the Brickyard. I think the Brickyard is a richer color, in my opinion. But still, great color to have. I think this was primarily on the Enthusiast car, although this has the track wheels, the raised wheels, but it doesn't have the Brembos, so that leads me to believe it's not a track edition. And this is my Z. This is my 2003 Redline Track Edition. Pretty much stock, although I did put the clear side markers, which I don't like, so I'm going to go back to the standard ones. I've got modest wheel spacers. I've got a 15 in the front and a 20 in the back. I didn't want to go too aggressive. And I did that because the offset was terrible on these cars. We all know that. Here's another angle, and they're really tucked in without the spacers. And Redline, we see so many red cars nowadays. It's not my favorite color. I'd rather go Brickyard, Sunset Orange, and the Daytona Blue as well. But we've seen so many red cars over the years. But again, it's a cool color. It's my car. Of course, I love it. I took these shots in Point Lookout in St. Mary's County. It's a beautiful September morning. The weather was fantastic. Great drive on some country roads. And I got to do a front plate delete. I definitely want to do a front plate delete. That needs to go. And I'm going to have to repaint the front bumper and the hood because these early cars didn't have the best paint quality, as many of you know. And we got to take a look at the raised wheels. Best wheel, I think, that came on this car, even better than the Nismo wheels that came later. Forged 3-piece, 18-inch wheel. We've got your Brembo brakes in there with some upgraded slotted and drilled rotors. Michelin Pilot 4S summer tires, which really, really help the handling a lot. I definitely noticed a difference with those tires. They're worth the money. Everybody praises them, and they are worth the hype. It's another angle of the Z. I really think this car has aged well, man. This car gets a lot of hate, but it is a cool car. And you do not see many of them that are close to factory. Another thing people tend to do on these is modify the rear windshield wiper, take that wiper off, which I'm not really a fan of that. They take it off and then they're left with this little black box that just takes up space. Anyway, here's our VQ35DE in factory spec. A lot of pros and cons about this engine. It's mass produced, so it's easy to get parts for. Everybody loves that. People fight over the sound. You either love it or you hate it, depending on which exhaust you get. And our interior, a quick interior shot. Bare bones, very simple. Not a lot going on, but old school, traditional sports car. I mean, what I love about this is there aren't a lot of big screens, gigantic screens that are in the way. Your manual gearbox, you have some knobs. You had You can barely see the pedals, but you could get optional drilled pedals on, I think, the touring and the track packages. Anyway, guys, we're going to wrap up here. So Daytona Blue, I should have included some photos of a Daytona Blue car. I know one of the Daytona Blue track editions sold on Bring a Trailer a couple years ago. And, you know, it's a great color for the car. I'd say top three. I'd go Le Mans Sunset, then Brickyard, Daytona Blue, then Redline for my top colors. What do you guys think? What are your favorite colors on this car? Or do you not like the factory colors? Are they too boring? And would you rather just wrap the car or repaint it? Comment below. Let me know. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more content. We've got lots of fun stuff coming, guys. Stay tuned.